Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and welcome to Doggos and Dragons. Yeah, we've got such an intrepid band of adventurers, courtesy of Dragon Trappers Lodge. This is a video that has taken me far, far longer to film than it really should. And the problem is, because I can't stop preening their stuff. Dragon Trappers Lodge is like one of my biggest guilty can't stop, won't stop printing projects because they literally just keep churning stuff out. And so over the last month or two, while I've been out of town, they put out a crazy amount of content, and I figured, okay, well, I'll just do a couple models, right? Which I planned on, and then I used up like almost an entire bottle or something of resin, and I still haven't got to everything I want to, so we'll save some of their big crazy stuff for another video. But let's start with the dogs, because everybody loves dogs, and if you like cats, well, we'll get you taken care of at some other future point. But no, this release was just absolutely bonkers, and I'm absolutely here for it. So we've got our typical adventuring party. We've got the mage, the fighter, the ranger, and the rogue. And you'll notice that they're all different breeds of dogs. And what's really cool is they had all four of these typical classes available as different breeds as well. They're all the same bodies, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to do it. So while I've got this really great pit bull for the fighter, of course, with his tongue lolling out of his mouth, he's just ready for a fight. I mean, they had quite a few other varieties. We have a German Shepherd here who needs his supports off, much more stoic. With the Golden Retriever for the mage. Poodles were available as well. Let me think what else. I want to say Border Collies were somewhere in the mix. Well, that might be what you are. Makes sense for a ranger with supports. Again, that's one of those things. I get this up on video and I see all those little imperfections. But, I mean, obviously, you know, I may not be the best printer, but you guys get a pretty good idea of what to expect from these. And one of my favorites was the Rogue Pug. Now, for whatever odd reason, most of the time, Dragon Trappers Lodge's bases have little keyed spots on them, but the pugs didn't, or the rogues didn't. I did print a Chihuahua. We are a Chihuahua family, but unfortunately I dropped him and I nicked his ear. But then again, you know, it's a Chihuahua, so who knows what he's been up to and what he got into. Picking fights with things better and bigger than he is, and it's really shiny and glossy there. It's hard to see his eyes, unfortunately. He's got those big old Chihuahua eyes. I still might go ahead and paint him. Maybe I'll rag it up that edge of the ear a little bit more. And, you know, so they had all the adventuring dogs, but, you know, what kind of adventurers are going to go off and have adventures without having anything to fight? So they actually went ahead and then did a bunch of dog-related monsters, like the Behiner dog, which was like a Behir, except done up like a dachshund type thing with the 10 legs. We had typical blink dogs. Had to have one jumping through the portal. And I know I printed bases for some of the other ones. They're good-sized dogs. There's the Hellhounds. I loved this one. The Shambling Hound, which we had a couple of poses and varieties. Finding our adventurers ready to set forth and do battle with such dangerous foes. And these are some of the things that are on the smaller end of the scale spectrum with this release. One of the coolest things that they put out was a modular Kerberos. And I think I posted pictures of this already, but that's okay. I'll show him off. So you can choose what kind of heads you want. And again, they have a whole bunch of varieties. I think I printed off, we ended up, I know I was going to make a sparkle trail painted, but I got all the German Shepherd heads. And again, I need to get those little supports. But we went with all of the... Is it a Rottweiler? Pit? I don't know. But there are poodle options as well. I want to say there was an undead one. And if you want bigger things, they actually, of course, being Dragon Trappers Lodge, have to have a dragon. And they had a luck dragon, which, if you are familiar with canine-style dragons from stories that never end, It might look familiar to you. And actually, I would like to print that one. So hopefully, I have a couple other releases that I wanted to show off some of the larger stuff with. So we might save those and show them off together. I don't do enough dragons of theirs. I did do a bunch of Dragonborn because while they've been running the dogs, and then the recent stuff with the monks, which we'll get to in a sec, they've also been going back and doing the Fiends of Incandriox. And Incandriox, if you haven't seen it, because I don't want to get it, because I don't want to break it, is that big, giant, 6-armed flying dragon monstrosity on like 120 millimeter plus base. It might have been 200 millimeters. It's huge. You can find it on, I've done videos on it on YouTube already. There's pictures of my painted one. Actually, if you go to my mini factory, if you go to the link down below, click through stuff, you could find a painted photo of it somewhere, hopefully, because I thought I uploaded it. But, so they have a smaller version of Incandriox, in addition to the big, giant, multi-winged, multi-limbed, twin-tailed monstrosity that took up a crap ton of resin. We also have his more base form. And what's really cool about, speaking of bases, a while back, remember we had the kind of World War I steampunk Dragonborn legions with the aerial, fighter pilot dragons with bombs on them, and they had all the... I painted a few, and you can find the video anyway. These are like the evil corrupted versions. So we've got, I think they were called the Defilers or something. Really spiky, bad-looking Dragonborn. Draconians, if you want to go that route. And they're pretty good sized. I mean, we also have the Defilers, I believe they were called, which are a little bit more twisted and mutated versions of these Dragonborn. You can see he's got tentacles starting to grow out of him. In addition to the fact that they already have Wardrake cavalry, winged versions as well. There's flying kobolds. We've got their hero models. I think I printed some more other ones. And again, much like the dogs, there's a ton of different options available for him to be doing the He-Man pose with your weapon of choice. Good size baddie. So yeah, we've got a whole assortment of them. I know there's even more stuff coming. So if you are into any sort of demon stuff, and the thing is, I gotta say, I am really impressed with the supports because I'm not the greatest when it comes to removing these things. I am very ham-fisted, just yanking them off. And you could see here, I mean, I've got it in one piece, which is quite impressive a feat for me, if I do toot my own horn every once in a while. But what really impressed me with those supports of theirs were their monks that they just recently put out. And I'm a big fan of martial arts kung fu stuff. So when they did these guys, I mean, my attention was grabbed immediately. So we'll keep our dog standing guard here because he's also a good indicator of size. The first one that really jumped out to me was the Koro monk. And this was all a single piece. Obviously not with the base. I did glue him on the base. But just those swords on the ribbon attached to him, I was like, wow. And I got it off in one piece. That was even more impressive. So they're about the same size. The other one that really got me attentive was this guy right here. Kofu the Vengeful. Looking like he's doing like a Hungar pose or something. Those arms coming out of his back immediately made me think of Ashura's Wrath, one of my favorite games to reminisce about over the fact that it could have been so much better. Sadly, it wasn't. It was definitely unique for its time, but I know they're definitely going with more of like an Airbender vibe here, and I know they had like the Sky Bisons. If you want something like that, they had those types of models available. Personally, again, the fact that I got that off in one piece, I do need to remove those supports here. That's okay. Jetson the Cleaner. Pretty sure that's his base. One single piece. And then we had one of the Kitsune monks, because why have only humans, right? This one is super delicately attached to that base. I think this was Kutsu the Spiteful. Again, the details are top-notch, despite me needing to clean them better. And what's interesting about this release also is a lot of these figures had upgraded bases with like crazy elements coming off of it, if that's something that you're interested in. Like I know the Dragonborn monk had a big crazy like tsunami wave coming off his base. He's a lot larger than the other folks here too. And speaking of larger folks, I don't know where I put them. They did a couple of terracotta soldiers, which was a kind of a cool touch. So if you wanted to go with a very Asian, Chinese themed campaign or adventure, those would definitely come in handy, I'm sure. You don't want to stand up. But you can see here, our Dragonborn monk is a good few heads taller than our dog, than our human, but then some of the human monks that they released as well were quite large. I'm not sure if these guys were some other race and I just wasn't paying attention. Like, they could double as Goliaths, and no, these are not the terracotta warriors. They actually look like they're made out of stone. These guys are huge, though. But again, details are really sharp, and I guess if you really wanted to, you obviously could, you know, put them in a smaller size, but where's the fun in that? We'll come up with some kind of an interesting use, and if you want to find an interesting use, most of this stuff, almost all of this stuff, in fact, has rules available through Dragon Trapper's Lodge for one-page rules, various games, so definitely something worth checking out there, especially when you get into some of the bigger, crazier stuff. Like our friend here, Fong Hai, the Lie Collector. This model was the one that really, really sold me on this release, as I hear my dog is going crazy. Must be going on an adventure. I love this model. And what was even crazier was I want to say that it was a freebie that was given away by Dragon Trapper's Lodge. So if this is something, single piece. Reminds me of that old Spirit Kami thing I printed of theirs ages ago, like one of their early releases. He had like all the hands and mirrors and stuff that I need to find him because I know I painted it and I know it's in one piece, but anyway. Just the sharpness of those details. This is going to be a fun one to paint, and as far as I know, he's already got rules available for him as well. I love those floating hands. So just fun, interesting models, and like I said, I've got a couple others that are currently awaiting more resin from these releases, so we'll do a special video on just some of the bigger stuff, because they're quite impressive too. But like I've said before, and I'm going to keep saying, because they keep putting out really interesting quality stuff, you got to give Dragon Trapper's Lodge a good long look, because honestly, they're one of my top Patreon choices, tribes, what have you, when it comes to just putting out interesting models and piles of them on a monthly basis. So hopefully you guys are going to have as much fun with this stuff as I am. So with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities in Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.